All right, everybody, welcome back. Week 2 of the 2023 NFL season. Mile High on Broad podcast coming back at you with week 2 of breaking down the conferences. This week, we're coming at you with the NFC. Like last week, we're going to break down each division, how we got each team ranked within that division. Got a couple of takes for you. And like we previewed last week, we're going to go ahead and finish up this week's episode with another test Mike's brain. So stay tuned to make sure you catch that. So far, 1 for Mike, 0 for the rest of us. So we'll see if we can get him this week. In case you guys are wondering and you're catching and watching this at home, and we are wearing the same exact shirts, recording this a little bit early because both Mike and I are out of town when this is actually going to be aired. So that's why we're wearing the same stuff. But Mike, I haven't seen you in about an hour, so good to see you again. Welcome back. Let's get ready to break down. Let's go ahead and break down the NFC. We're going to go ahead and start this time with the NFC North. Vikings took it down last year. They finished at 13-4. Lions at 9-8. Packers 8-9. And the Bears, a wonderful 3-14. Worst team in the league last year. We'll see how that goes this year. So, Mike, like last week, I want to start off with you. How you got the NFC North rolling out?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people this year are very, very down on the Vikings. I think that a lot of people are saying, hey, last year was an aberration. They're never going to win 13 games again. Clearly, this is the Lions division to win. And while I agree with some of that, I don't think the Vikings are truly going to be a 13-win, 12-win team again this year. I actually do have the Vikings winning it again this year. I think Kirk Cousins has proven to be consistent enough that he can win somewhere between 9 and 11 games for most seasons for the Vikings. It's kind of where I see him. I see the Vikings winning about 10 games this coming season, going 10-7, winning that division. And then I think they'll be pushed a little bit by the Bears, which I think is going to surprise you. Yeah.
Hot take.
Yeah. So I actually have the Bears finishing second in their division. I think that what they're trying to do, and it's actually funny, I've been saying this for a little while now, but we actually just got reporting of this today, which if you're listening to this now, it's probably week-old reporting, that they're comparing him to like a Jalen Hurts type thing. And so I've been thinking that's what they've been trying to do for a little while now. They went out, they got DJ Moore, right? The Eagles went out and got A.J. Brown. They've signed a couple of other weapons. They've made some big moves in the draft. They moved up they moved back and got a lot of compensation for it. They've gotten some good picks for it. They've really helped bolster up their defense a little bit. And so they're really they got Claypool last year. They still have Mooney. They've got some running backs in rotation that should be pretty good. And so I've been thinking that they've been trying to go the Jalen Hurts route. I don't think it's going to work out nearly that well. I think it's going to be more like a Walmart version of it, where instead of winning 14 games, I think that they're probably more likely to win 9 games and finish second in their division. I think then the Lions are going to finish third. Again, about 9 wins is what I have them at. I think that they're a good team. I don't think that they're a great team. I think that their offense has certainly proven to be problematic on the road. While I want to believe in Jared Goff, it's just, again, on the road, he doesn't seem to have it. He seems to play better at home. And the Lions are getting a lot of hype for this offseason. I think that they're going to disappoint relative to where a lot of people's expectations are. And then and last, I got the Packers. Look, I don't know what to do with the Packers, man. Like, what am I supposed to do with Jordan Love? I've seen Jordan Love throw a combined 40 passes in the NFL. I have no idea what he's going to be. Nobody has any idea what he's going to be. It sounds like he's not a great practice player, yet for some reason people are super hyped about what he did at the Eagles game last year, which, funny enough, Ben and I were at that Eagles game last year, and he threw one pass that was about 12 yards down the field to Christian Watson, who then took it the house. I mean, it was a fine pass, but everybody blew it up as like, oh my God, Jordan Love threw for 140 yards against the Eagles. Dude, most of that was run after the catch from one play. Like, he was nothing special. He didn't look bad. He looked so much better than he had looked in the past, but I don't know what to do with him. I don't know what to do with that team. I don't really like any of their wide receivers outside of Christian Watson. Their defense is whatever. Like, I don't think they're going to be that good. I think they're going to finish last in their division.
Love it. We're starting it off super spicy, and it's going to be intense. because you and I could not differ more on this division, I think. I have the Lions winning it. I am on that train that says the
Okay.
Lions are going to take this. Look, I just think that they have a ton of talent. They were the highest scoring points per game team in the league last year. I
Yep.
think their defense was arguably the worst last year. I think
Yep.
they are still bad. All right. But I think that they are better. And I think the offense is going to be probably better than it was last year. I think that although improving at running back was not what they needed to do, they did improve both of those players through the draft and signing of Montgomery. I get that Jameson Williams is going to be gone for a little bit, but he will be back. I do think he is a good player. Amon-Ra is that good. And I think Jared Goff is a good enough quarterback to get it done on offense. I have the Vikings second. I agree with you on pretty much every take. I don't think they're going to be that bad. They have arguably the best wide receiver in the league in Justin Jefferson. I think Addison is a really good addition this year, even as a rookie. Kirk
Assuming he doesn't
Cousins,
go 150 miles an hour again.
yeah, Kirk Cousins, idiot, man. How do you do that? I know it's a side note, but like,
Did you hear that
how?
he blamed it on his dog? He was saying
I,
that his dog was having an emergency.
I don't care, man.
Dude, that's the adult version of saying my dog ate my homework. That's nonsense.
This is a debate for another day on like they need to be better at teaching these young kids when you're going to hand them millions of dollars at 21 years old how to handle their money, because this kid's 21, probably didn't have much growing up. I mean, I don't know his backstory, but like I can't imagine he had Lambos at in college. Now he gets one and he's caught doing this stupid shit. I mean, like, look, and I guarantee the league's going to give him something. I'd be shocked if they don't, especially after the Ruggs crap. His Ruggs killed somebody. They're going to have to make an example of somebody to make sure that guys know like you can't keep doing this stuff. So I don't know if it's a game or two or a fine, but like something's going to happen to him. I don't think it's going to be detrimental to the Viking season per se, but like just come on, man, be a little bit smarter with things. I think Madison is going to be fine. He's not Dalvin Cook. All right. And look, they win a perfect 11-0 in one score games. All right. Which is unheard of. I don't think that they do that again. That's really the reason I think that they finish in second place. Now, if they finish in first, the Lions finish in second, would I be shocked? The Lions to the Lions. So no, if that happened, I'd be like, no, that's what the Lions do. But I do think the Lions have enough of the pieces that they could, and in my opinion, should win that division this year. I have the Packers in third. I think they're well enough and they have enough talent that they will squeak out enough wins to finish in third place. I'm with you. I don't think Jordan Love is the dude. He's got some up reviews. He's got some down reviews. I think Jordan Watson is explosive. I think he has a ton of talent. But yeah, I think their defense is what it is. I think they're going to be very average this year in every category, but I think it's enough to give them third. I think the Bears are going to be horrible again this year. I've heard the takes as well, what they're going to do. First of all, you don't have Shane Steichen. All right. And I think that was a huge part of Jalen Hurts' development.
Yep.
Second of all, Jalen is bigger and stronger and a better passer, and way better passer than Justin Fields is. DJ Moore is a good wide receiver. He is not, by any fathom of the imagination, AJ Brown. Cole Kmet is not Dallas Goedert, and Mooney is not Devontae Smith. Okay, he's also not behind the best offensive line in all of football. All right, playing with arguably one of the best defenses in all football. So, look, I don't think that Justin Fields is any good. I will always say that until he proves me wrong. We've known this for 2 years now. I think Trevor Lawrence is great. I think Justin Fields is trash. I think he will continue to be trash. And if you can't complete a pass, you're not that good, and you have a bad defense, you're going to be a bad team. And I think they're once again going to be a bad team. They finish in last place. In case you didn't know, I don't like the Bears. All right.
Well, you don't like Justin Fields. It's not that you don't like the Bears. You don't like Justin Fields.
Look, here's what it comes down to. I don't think the Bears as a team are that special in anywhere on the field.
Sure.
Like, I don't think that they're that special. And I think Justin Fields is garbage. So if you put not great and garbage together, you get garbage. All right. Like it is what it is. There's nothing on the team that makes me go, hey, I actually feel really bad for DJ Moore because his entire career he's played with crap quarterbacks.
Yep.
And he got out just to play with another crap quarterback. So I'm sorry, DJ Moore. Maybe you find another way to hit 1,000 yards. But but it's going to be same old for him. He's playing with another crap quarterback. NFC South. Last year, the Bucks at 8-9 won the division, and then followed by a triage of 10-7 teams: Panthers and Saints, Falcons. What did I say? 10-7.
Yes, you did.
Though they were definitely 7-10. A little dyslexic, apparently. Is how that rolled out. I got it mixing up a little bit this year. I have the Saints winning the division.
Okay.
I still don't think this division is going to be that good. I do think the Saints win it, and I put that solely on the fact that they have Carr and they have better offensive weapons than I think, most of the other teams in that division do. And I think Carr is leaps and bounds ahead of every other quarterback. And we all know that in the NFL, you have to have a quarterback if you're going to be, that much of a contender. I think Derek Carr puts them above everybody else. He's definitely way better than Andy Dalton is going to be. I still love their coach. I wish they had someone a little bit more offensive minded, maybe a little bit better. But I think that the Saints are going to take that division. Second place, I have the Falcons. This is not a vote of confidence in Ritter. It is probably going to make me look like a hypocrite after my last conversations about Jordan Love not being good and Justin Fields being horrible, and how the reason that the Saints win is because Derek Carr is a better quarterback. I do not think that Ritter is good. I do not think he is probably going to be the quarterback there next year. Personally, I wish that they would be horrible, because I would love to see a great quarterback on that team with those weapons next year. That said, I think Arthur Smith wants to run the ball. I think Bijan Robinson is that good, and they do have enough weapons that as long as Ritter is meh, I think that they can win enough games in that crap division to finish in second place. In third place, I have the Panthers, and in last place, I have the Bucks. All right. I think the Panthers have some interesting pieces. I think they're a little slept on. I still don't think they're going to be great. They got a rookie quarterback. I don't know if I'm sold on 5'8", 130 pounds, Bryce Young. But I think that they can be good enough. And really, this is just saying that Kyle Trask and Baker Mayfield are not that good. I think that defense has really fallen off from the Super Bowl. I think they have some major holes on the offensive line. And I think there's going to be a massive Brady hangover, and they already weren't that good with him last year. So I think that they take a massive step backwards. I think they are one of the worst teams in the league this year as well. Mike.
Yeah. Hey, look, I'm largely with you on almost all of your points.
Okay.
I think that this is going to be the worst division in football next year.
Okay.
I think followed by the AFC South will be the second worst division in football, but I got the two Souths being the worst. So we're going to start there. So my baseline is not high. So whoever I have winning this division, please don't take this as a vote of confidence in their players, their quarterback. Okay, this is a lackluster division that is, for me, if the winner finishes under 500 again this year like it did last year, I think it has to be in the conversation for arguably the worst division of all time in NFL history. With that being said, I've got the Falcons winning this division. I'm kind of confused with the Falcons because I feel like they think that they're going to be good this year. I think that they've tried to make some off-season moves this year where they're like, yes, we're going all in. We're going to be good this year. Until you realize that Desmond Ritter is their quarterback, and it's
so crazy,
not great.
I love their tight end. I love their running back. I love their wide receiver.
Yep. They went out, they got Jesse Bates. They went out, they got Bud Dupree. They went out and they got Calais Campbell, who, while yes, he's old, but he's still a veteran presence on that team. And I think they even signed Jeff Okudah, who, whenever Jeff Okudah can stay healthy, I mean, first off, he was a top 5 pick in the draft, but when the man can stay healthy, third overall pick. When the man can stay healthy, he's a lockdown corner. But the problem is your offense is so run dependent, and your quarterback has not proven to be anything that I don't think that they're going to be very good. I think that this team caps out at about 8 or 9 wins next year, likely closer to 7 or 8. So I got them winning this division. Next, I got the Saints. So flip-flopping your first and second. While I like Derek Carr, I hate Dennis Allen as a coach, man. I think he's probably in the conversation for worst coach of all time. He's got the worst NFL record as a head coach. For me, that has to say a lot, man. Like you've really got to be bad when we've had guys like Hugh Jackson, who went 1-15 and 0-16 in back-to-back seasons, and you have a worse record than that guy does. You're clearly not very good. I don't like a ton of their moves. I think Alvin Kamara clearly took a step back last year, and I think that we'll see how, now that his off-field issues have been handled, we'll see how that hangs within the locker room. See if that doesn't drag him down. We've seen those kinds of things weigh on players in the past. It's just in general, I'm not a big fan of this team either. Don't think they're going to be super great. Third, I got the Panthers. A lot of the same reasons you do. I think that they're trying to build for something for the future. They're going to try to see if Bryce isn't going to be their franchise quarterback. And even if he is, it's not likely that they're going to be great this year. When your number 2 wide receiver, or I don't even know if he's going to be their number 1, is Adam Thielen, who seems like he can no longer run past 5 yards past the line of scrimmage anymore. You're going to be in for a rough time. And then the Bucs and Baker Mayfield, and when Baker struggles for the first 6 weeks, they bring in Kyle Trask just to realize that Kyle Trask is even worse, and they go back to Baker Mayfield. I don't have much belief in this team. I think the defense is still probably really solid, but just that offense isn't going to be able to put up more than 14, 17, 20 points a week, and the defense is going to struggle because the offense is going to not be able to alleviate any pressure from them.
Can't disagree. Let's jump to the NFC East. Your division, we got the Eagles last year, 14-3, best record in the entire NFC. Second place, Cowboys, 12-5. We had the Giants at 9-7, and the Commanders at a whopping 8-1. I forgot the Giants also had a tie at 9-7-1. So obviously they tied each other. How you got this division? Break it down for us.
I'm gonna hope and pray that the NFC East does not do what the NFC East does every year for the last, I think it's been 20 years in a row now, 19 years in a row now, something like that, where we have not had a repeat division winner since the Eagles did it in 02, 03, and 04. Eagles three-peated it, and nobody's even repeated it since then. And so I got the Eagles winning this division, hoping and praying, because like I said, this division likes to shake things up every single year. I think Jalen Hurts is going to come back with a vengeance. I think that he's probably very disappointed that they did not win. I know a lot of teams will normally suffer the Super Bowl hangover, and so while that's certainly not, I'm not writing that off. It certainly could happen. It's not something I'm willing to bet on. I think Jalen Hurts and his leadership, he's proven in college that in Alabama, whenever they were struggling and they wouldn't win a game, or they'd lose in the national championship or whatever, he would always come back and have them fighting the next year. He always seems like he has a good head on his shoulder. He seems like he's a real good leader. So I think that this team's going to come back hungry, and I think that they're going to win the division. Next, I got the Cowboys. I think that Cowboys defense is going to be the star point of attraction for them. I think Micah Parsons is probably a top 3, top 5 defender in all of football, and he can play multiple positions. So he might be the single most versatile defender in all of football. So he's a flat-out superstar. They went out, they signed Yep, he's great. They went out and they signed Gilmore. They extended Diggs. Whether or not that's going to end up biting them in the butt in a couple years, they've at least got a 1-2 corner combo that they at least like. I think that what Diggs does is a ball hawk and likes to jump routes. I think that almost will probably work as a decent complement to Gilmore, who is older, wiser, and is going to really be a good veteran presence and more of your traditional shutdown corner. So unfortunately, I think that could rub off on Diggs, maybe in a good way. We'll see. Next up, I got the Commanders. I got them coming in third. I think that they to me looked better than the Giants for almost all of last year. And when Washington tied them the first time, I was convinced that they were going to win that second game. I thought they should have won the first game, but they ended up doing what Washington does. But I think the selling of the team will be very helpful for a year or two down the road. I think that at least getting that terrible, terrible locker, well, I don't even know if it's locker, just a terrible organizational presence of, why am I blanking on the
Snyder?
Dan Snyder. Getting Dan Snyder out of the building, I think, is going to be a morale boost. Again, even if it takes a year or two, I think immediately it'll probably make them feel a little bit better. helpful with the culture. I think that Sam Howell has a chance, an outside chance to kind of surprise some people. He was a projected number one first round pick a couple of years before the draft, and then people really soured on him the year before. So I think he could be better than what people might think. And then I got the Giants coming in last. When you're overpaying Daniel Jones and you have zero wide receiver help, and you have Saquon Barkley, who cannot be that happy to be playing for, instead of on the franchise tag of 10.1, to be playing for $11 million. Can't imagine he's super thrilled. I think that defense is probably really solid, but I think that offense is going to hold them back.
So we might agree a little bit more on this one. I mean, we're close, but I thought this would be our one that we agreed all the way out on. But no luck. I do have the Eagles in first place. I think they are going to be really good again this year. I do have some questions. You know, two new coordinators, both their offensive defensive guys are gone. What does that look like when it actually boils down to on the field performance? I think that's definitely something to kind of look at. But you got most of your offensive pieces back. I think they're still going to be good. They did lose some solid pieces on the defensive side of the ball. I think they definitely added some great pieces in the draft, though, too. I don't know how some of the best defenders fall to them the way that they did 2 years in a row. Hey, whatever works. Really the biggest, I guess, weakness, if you will, on that defense, I guess, is on the safety level now. We'll see how much that actually impacts the team as a whole once they get out there. I still think this team's going to be really, really good. I think they're still contenders. I have the Eagles in first. I have the Cowboys in second. It's a little up and down with this, but I think, kind of like what you mentioned, my thing is I think that defense is really, really good. I think that's where they're going to lean. McCarthy's an idiot. He wants to score less points and savor his defense, but I think I have enough weapons on offense that they're going to win enough games. I don't know if they win 12 again, but I could easily see them going 10-7, and probably a wild card berth. I think they're going to be that team. The Giants I have in third again. I actually have this team breaking down exactly what it is last time. I do think the Giants have some issues. I think on offense, obviously the biggest hurt they had was at wide receiver last year with everybody being hurt. They do have a hodgepodge of guys again this year. But I think Darren Waller being there now definitely helps them. I think the ball is good enough. I mean, if he got that out of who they had last year, I think he can get relatively decent out of them again this year. My biggest thing is I think the Commanders are going to be really bad this year. I do like a lot of their pieces. But I think the transition away from Snyder, I think Rivera is not the coach again next year. I think that ownership's going to come in and wipe slate. I think they're going to wipe a lot of it out. They're going to need a new coach. They're going to need a new quarterback. I like them in the future. I don't even know if they're called the Commanders next year. I think they should just come in, rebrand the whole team. They're going to bring in a new coach. They get a new quarterback. They got some good pieces in Dotson and McLaurin. They got some decent running back. I think they build something new for the future. But I think this year, they're just going to kind of let it burn down. I know you don't tank, but if you're looking to wipe a new slate as new ownership, I'm not saying it's the worst way to go to just say, hey, let's shell it in. We're getting rid of our coaches and stuff anyway. Let's wipe it out. Let's start fresh. New name, new team, new colors, whatever. Let's make it new. I'm more excited for what they look like maybe down the road than what they're going to look like this year. NFC West. I told you last week I had a gut, and last week I changed it, and then you told me I should just go with it. I'm going to do it. We'll see if you agree with me. Here's how I have the NFC West breaking down. First place, we'll run through last year first. So 49ers, 13-4. The Seahawks at 9-8. I think that was a little bit of a surprise for a lot of people. Then we had the Rams at 5-12. And the Cardinals at 4-13. It was pretty ugly on the back end of that division last year. This year, here's how I got to look at it. I got the 49ers winning it again. To me, they're the best team in the NFC. I could argue they are the most complete team in all of football. I understand what people are going to say about the quarterback being a little bit down, but I think Mike Shanahan gets what he wants. I think Brock Purdy does play most of the season. Kyle. And I think that they're going to be good enough. I think Brock Purdy is serviceable enough. I think he could end up being a Kirk Cousins type of player in this league. And I think that Shanahan is good enough to get the most out of him. I think that team is super complete. They could have the best record in the NFC this year. So I have the Niners winning it. Here's my gut. I'm going with the Rams in second place. I think they came back for a reason, which was to make another run and stuff. I don't think all these guys that contemplate a retirement, I'll come back to just go out there and put up another 5-12 season. Cooper Kupp could have played last year. He didn't. I think they rested a lot of people. The offensive line is going to be better than it was last year. They're not going to be great, but they're going to be better. You got a fully healthy Stafford. You got Cooper Kupp back. Aaron Donald's back on that defense. I get they lose Ramsey, but I think they're going to be good enough. Again, I'm not putting them in anything crazy. I got them in second place. And I have the Seahawks in third. That was one where I was back and forth. Hey, how much do I want to believe in Geno? You should go with your gut. My gut originally I wrote down was the Rams in second, so that's what I'm going with. I think the Seahawks are going to be good. I like a lot of their weapons. I don't think they're going to be a high-flying offense. Geno put up numbers that Russ never did there. I don't think that he is better last year, right? Geno Smith was not better last year than Russ was his entire career. And I think that at the end of the day, Pete Carroll would rather just rely on more defense and run the ball. I think their defense is going to be better, but I just don't know if I believe that Geno is all that. And he definitely tailed off in the second half of the season. I think they're going to be good, but I don't think they're going to be lights out or anything crazy like that. I think it's pretty close for second and third, but I have them in third. And then I have the Cardinals in fourth. They are the worst team in football. I don't know when Kyler's going to be healthy. I don't even know if he likes football. But I do know is the rest of that roster, with the exception of, I don't know, I guess maybe I give Hollywood Brown some credit. But the rest of that team is absolute garbage. Everyone wants to leave. I mean, they're going to be bad on both sides of the ball. It's going to be ugly. It is going to be ugly. So I think they're going to be bad this year. Really, really bad.
Well, so what you're saying is that Kyler Murray, he might like football, but more Madden football, but
Madden,
he
maybe
likes football, but no, I'm with you. Funny enough, this is the division that we totally agree. So I'm with you there. I got the 49ers winning this division. The only thing I'm going to push back on for that is I think that it's possible for me. It's Eagles 49ers are going to be fighting out for that 1-2 seed in the NFC. I think on paper, I know football isn't played on paper, so that's why I think that it's possible the Niners end up taking this division, could take the number 1 overall seed. But I think on paper, the Eagles clearly have the better roster. I think that quarterback is what separates it, right? I think every other position is close enough where if you want to say the Niners have the edge in, a couple more positions than the Eagles do, I think that the crevice between quarterback is what makes the Eagles roster clearly better. But I'm there with you. They have arguably the best defense in football, led by arguably the best linebacker in football. So I'm with you there on the Niners. From there, the Rams. This is where I think the division tails off. I could see the Niners winning 13, 14 games. Mm-hmm. I think the Rams could finish second in that division and win like 7 games. I think that everyone on this roster is getting older, other than maybe Cooper Kupp. Seems like Aaron Donald really, really slowed down a lot last year. It seems like McVay is contemplating whether he even still wants to coach or not. I think that McVay's probably only sticking around for another year because he doesn't want to catch too much flack from people like me who would give him a ton of flack for building this great team, trading away all these picks, saying F them picks, they're going all in, we're winning at least 1 ring, and then when everything blows up, when the bill comes due, I'm gonna walk away from it. Nah, it's not my fault. I had this team going 13-3 every year. The fact that they're 3-10, not my fault. I don't think that would be a fair thing for him to do. So I would have given him a lot of flack for that. So I think that's part of why he's staying around, is because I think he knows he would catch a lot of flack for destroying the team a couple of years after winning the Super Bowl. Which, look, I'm all for it. As an Eagles fan, we have 1 ring to our name. If we went all in and we were terrible for 6 years later, but we won that ring, I wouldn't care. So I understand why he did what he did, but hey, man, you got to stay there for, and pay your bills. So I'm fine with that. Next up, I got the Seahawks. And for me, I think the first half of Geno Smith's season last year was the aberration. I think that second half is more of who he is. I think that's who he's going to be next season. I think that he's going to be middling to below serviceable starter. I don't have a ton of faith in him. I don't think that defense is super good. I think it's okay. I think Tariq Woolen is wildly underrated, as we're finding out this offseason, just criminally underrated, especially in regards to Sauce Gardner. I think he was better last year than Sauce, but he is definitely not getting the respect I think he deserves. And I think Ken Walker is a great running back. And I think that's about it on that team. I think everyone else is going to struggle. I think Lockett and Metcalf are going to struggle because I don't think Geno is going to be playing all that well. So I think Seattle this year is going to be who we thought Seattle was last year. And then lastly, I'm with you, the Cardinals. It's going to be ugly on both sides of the ball. I wouldn't be surprised if Hollywood asked for another trade. Just that team has nothing on it right now. And especially with Kyler not playing at the beginning of the year, he's coming off that surgery. I don't think that they're going to be anything other than possibly fighting for the number 1, number 2, number 3 overall pick for the draft next season.
Can't argue with you there. Shockingly, is that they have the Texans number 1 pick too, and they could also be right there at the top.
Yep.
So, a couple of teams I think are going to be really bad, but the Cardinals definitely have shots. They'll have at least 2 picks in the top 5.
Caleb Williams, here we come.
Yeah, man. Could you imagine if they pick up Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr.? Talk about reloading your offense, man. And yeah, I think they can definitely do it. All right, like last week, let's run through against your surprise team. We'll start with Mike, but what's the team that you think is going to be the biggest surprise, positive direction this year from either last year or kind of what their expectations are this year? Who's your biggest surprise?
Yeah, for me, it's going to be the Commanders. I think that, like I said earlier, I think Sam Howell is going to play better than where he was drafted. I think he was drafted in either the 4th or 5th round or whatever.
Yep.
I think he's going to probably look closer to like a 2nd round type of a player. I think he's going to look like he can play in the league, but he's nothing special. I think he's going to look like somebody that you can win 7 to 10 games with most seasons, but hey, maybe he's not going to get you up over the hump and win you a Super Bowl. So alongside with having some new ownership, I think that in general, Washington's going to take a pretty nice step forward, and everyone's going to be kind of surprised by them.
So I got the Falcons as my biggest surprise team. I know they're getting a decent amount of hype this offseason, so maybe that's not the best pick, but I just think for, on paper, Ritter and what they were last year, which, they weren't horrible last year, but I think that they definitely could be the biggest surprise. I think they could even shockingly sneak their way into the playoffs as a wild card. Not so much I think the Falcons are going to be great, but it's just the rest of the conference is pretty bad. But I think the Falcons overall could be that much of a surprise. I think they have an underrated offensive line, and I think Bijan is good enough. You see a Titans light kind of a model here where they're good enough on offense with the quarterback that's good enough to game manage, while Bijan just 350 carries and takes it to the house.
Hey, fun fact, every year in the NFL, there's a team that goes from worst to first. I picked Atlanta to win this division, and they were last in that division last year. So,
yep, I believe it. All right, now let's talk biggest disappointment. Who do you think has the most hype coming into the season? It's going to let everybody down.
It was that team that we initially started off with, man. It's got to be the Lions for me. I think that you're one of them. So, yeah, this is right up your alley where this will surprise you if the Lions are not good next year. I think that they're going to be good. I just don't think they're going to win their division. Everybody is making it sound like they're the team to beat in that division. I definitely don't see it that way. Would I be surprised if they make the playoffs? No, but I would be very surprised if they win their own division. I think that they're going to be, again, just they're the Lions, man. For me, they are kind of similar to the Browns and the Chargers, where until they prove it to me, like I got to go with history on this one. I think the Lions are going to end up disappointing.
I can't necessarily disagree. I totally could see that, but I picked them to win it, so I couldn't pick them to do it. Man, this one was hard for me. I actually wrote down 2 teams.
Okay.
I'm only going to talk about one, but I will let you know that the team that I wrote down that I'm not going to talk about was the Cowboys. Because I think they are going to disappoint for what a lot of people think they're going to be this year, especially Cowboys fans who thinks they're just like miraculous. I think they're going to take a massive step back offensively, not defensively, but offensively with the way McCarthy wants to run things now. And as much as people want to talk about how they have 2 number 1 wide receivers, Cooks is on the tail end of his career. And I just think they could disappoint, but there's a lot of talk about a team I'm not talking about. The team I'm going to talk about, biggest disappointment, should come to no shock anybody. It's the Bears. All right. Justin Fields is garbage. That team is not going to be very good. I cannot wait for Justin Fields to fall on his face and to prove that I'm right and he's not a good quarterback. Everyone can talk about how great they're going to be. They are not going to be good. They will disappoint, and they will be a bottom 5 team again. Moving on. Who's the best division?
For me, I think the best division is going to be the same division as it was last year. It's the NFC East, and I think that this is probably going to be, like last year, the best division in all of football. Last year was a almost a historic division. I don't know if it ended up being the best all time in terms of win percentage, but last year when you have two teams going, 14 and 12 wins along with a 9-win team, and then another team that doesn't go under 500. I think that the NFC East is going to be the NFC Beasts again. So I think that they're going to be the best conference in the NFC.
I think they are as well. Really, for me, it came down to they have the top 1 or 2 team in the conference, and then the number 2 team is, I think, better than every other team probably in there, even if I think they could disappoint. So I have them 2 as well. I do not think they are going to be the best in all of football, but I definitely think that they are the best in the NFC. All right, let's talk about your hot take.
Yeah, I got to say this is gonna disappoint some Rams fans, but I think Aaron Donald's done after this season. I think that he's going to highly underwhelm this season. I think that he's going to not really kind of command that presence that we're used to him seeing. We're used to him being double, triple, and sometimes even quadruple teamed. And sometimes he would still even be able to make those plays. I think early in the season, he's going to demand that respect. And then I think teams are going to say, hey, Donald's having a down season. They'll back off of the double teams on him, and they'll start seeing more single man. And I still think he's probably going to end up struggling. For me, he seems almost like he's kind of done. I think that once he won that Super Bowl, there's a lot of this team kind of let the air out, and I think he was one of them. And so I think that he's probably going to end up retiring at the end of the season.
All right, here's my hot take. I have a division that's going to have 3 teams with winning records and playoff teams, and the 4th team is going to have the number 1 overall pick. That is going to be the West. I have the Niners, the Rams, the Seahawks could all make the playoffs, with the Cardinals having the number 1 overall pick. I don't know if that's happened before. That's my take.
Interesting. Yeah, it's not a bad one. I mean, that just tells me that you have a lot of faith in the Rams and the Seahawks again this year. And
hot take. Hot take.
So who do you have winning the NFC North?
So here's what I see. So if I want to run it down when I look at it, you got the Lions, the Saints, the Eagles, the Niners. They all go. All right.
Lions, Saints, Eagles. Okay.
So you got the so that leaves 3 left. Okay. So if we say the Vikings go, all right, then that leaves 2 left. If I say the Cowboys miss, they're a big enough disappointment. Again, they were on my potential list of disappointment teams. The Rams and the Seahawks go over them. Or maybe the Vikings lose more games and the Cowboys go and the Vikings don't. Again, it's a hot take. I don't know if I necessarily say, hey, for sure all 3 of these teams are going to go. But hey, look, 11 games in favor of the Vikings. If half those swing the other way, all of a sudden they're not a playoff team and the Seahawks could be. So I don't necessarily, if you made me put money on it, no, not all 3 of those teams are going. But hot take says that 3 could, and 1 ends up with the number 1 overall pick.
How long do you think it takes before we end up seeing a division where all 4 teams are represented in the playoffs? Because that almost happened last year.
Yeah, it did. Man, I mean, with the expanded playoffs, I definitely think it's possible. Man, I'm looking
the next 5 to 10 years.
I mean, I think probably. I mean, I'm looking at some of these, and I'm saying, man, the North, if the Steelers had a decent quarterback, I mean, that division could easily have 4 go. I don't know. The AFC, I feel like it's harder though, because there are a lot of good teams in there. Where in the NFC, which is where it almost happened last year, there's a lot more where I feel it's really top heavy with the Niners and the Eagles, and then there's a lot more where it's like, hey, man, if the Commanders / whatever they are, the Washington, if they're better than I think they are, and the Giants are good again this year, I mean, they could do it again this year with the same type of a thing, man. I mean, man, that the Rams and the Seahawks could all be bad. We know the Cardinals are bad. The Vikings could have it. I mean, it's definitely possible for that kind of a thing to happen. So, I mean, I think, next 5 years, sure, it could definitely happen. But I think if it does happen, it definitely happens in the NFC. Until I see a massive swing in the power. There's just way more teams in the AFC. I'm like, yeah, you could go. Like if you were like, hey, name the 7 teams, I'm looking at them like, man, they could go. I mean, there's so many more teams. I'm like, you could all swing in. I mean, I look at the Broncos. I'm like, hey, man, could they maybe win 10 games? But I don't even know if that's good enough to make a wild card in the AFC. So, all right, man, let's wrap it up for us for the NFC. Again, we're gonna wrap this episode up with another Test Mike's Brain. So as we discussed, we got 4 categories for Mike. We got red, yellow, green, and blue. Last year, Mike picked green. Got it on his
Last
first
year.
guess
Wow.
last week. So Mike, what color are we picking this week?
Look, I'm tempted to go green again, but I don't want to keep going with that same color. So I'm gonna go with, let's give me yellow.
All right, here we go. All right, got my yellow card right here. So yellow card, simple enough. Name the team. All right,
Okay.
based on last year's results, I'm going to give you their top 1 and 2 wide receiver, tight end, quarterback, and running back offensive stats.
Okay.
All right, you got to tell me who this team is. I will give you a couple of lifelines. All right, lifeline 1 is you can ask what division they were in, or not division. You can ask what conference they were in. You can ask if they were a playoff team or not. And I guess if you really need help, you can ask me what division they're in. But if you need that, I'm going to lose a little faith in you. So here we go. Wide receiver 1, 1,108 yards, 8 touchdowns.
Okay. Oh, actually, hold on. Quick qualifier. Is this, so for instance, DJ Moore was with the Panthers last year. Could this qualify for the Bears, or would he be qualified as a Panther?
He's a Panther. So this is last year's team, last year's numbers. So what team was this last year? All right. Good question. I'm thinking, I think all of these people are back on this team. So a little bit of a hint for you. All right. Wide receiver 1, 1,108 yards, 8 touchdowns. Wide receiver 2, 823 yards, 5 touchdowns. The tight end, 766 yards, 4 touchdowns. Quarterback, 4,113 yards, 25 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. And the running back, 1,125 yards, 5 rushing touchdowns.
Let's see. What was the running back was 1,100.
1,100. So 1,000-yard receiver, 1,000-yard running back, 4,000-yard quarterback.
Gonna go with the Jags.
Final answer.
Lock it in. Give me the Jags.
And just like that, he's 2-0, folks. It is the Jaguars. Man, I'm gonna have to pick some harder ones because I don't know, maybe he's just picking teams I'm gonna look out for. But man, 2-0.
Not at all. Not at all. It was for me. For me, it was about figuring out the receiver. Off the top of my head, I was trying to think. I was like, who had 1,000 yards, and then pair that with a running back that was really good. And I couldn't think of the receiver, and I went in my head. I just went to Etienne, and then I went to the quarterback, which was Lawrence, and then I said, "Oh, wait a minute! Their number 1 receiver was Kirk last year, who surprised the hell out of all of us with having, I don't know if I'm going to say he's lived up to the contract yet, but he seemed like he was massively overpaid, but so far so good for him living up to his contract." And that was kind of how I was able to get there. And then until we started talking about it, I didn't even think about the tight end. But yeah, Evan Ingram had a very solid season last season. Definitely rebounded a little bit. So yeah, that was just kind of my process and how I got there.
Nice. I think I figured the quarterback would be more of the giveaway. How many quarterbacks at 4,000 plus yards, but get a little sneak peek inside Mike's brain and how he figured that out. But man, 2-0. I guess I'm gonna have to throw some harder stuff on there. See if we can't stump him one of these coming weeks. So thanks again for joining us, everybody. We'll see you again next week. We got some more interesting stuff. Now that we wrapped up our conferences, I think we're going to play some games next week, have some little bit of fun while we wrap up training camp, talk about a little news. See you all then. Bye-bye.